matter what, we come together for the good of our constituents, and I'm proud and honored to lead the People's House of the New York State Legislature.
The health and protection of the human beings that live in our districts is our responsibility.
Frederick Douglass's words for us today, I quote, "If there is no struggle, there is no progress."
If you want equity to happen, then this is where it happens.
All of us have a responsibility to the greater good.
The House will come to order.
Hello everyone, this is Assemblyman Angelo Santabarbara and welcome to another edition of Assembly Update. Today my guest is President and CEO of Special Olympics New York, a program that's near and dear to my heart, and it provides a number of different opportunities for people with disabilities. And Stacey Hangsterman is here joining us on the show. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So Special Olympics, everybody has heard about this at one time or another, and we're very excited to have you on the show to talk about the opportunities and how this program is going and what it means to our community.
Thank you.
So to start, I know you have a personal connection with Special Olympics, and I know we've talked about this before. How did you get involved, and why is this so important to you personally?
Well, there's three things that I really always want to say about Special Olympics. And first of all, the authenticness, that's authentic sports. I have a son with Down syndrome. He's 19. I got my position about 5 years ago. And I learned that really my first day. I saw an athlete lose. And I was out at USA Games and the athlete lost. And I thought, well, let him do it again. And the whole team kind of looked at me like, what are you talking about? Like, do you know anything about sports or anything about, that's not how it works. And I thought, why wouldn't I think that people with intellectual differences would want to have authentic competition? So that's what Special Olympics is. We provide authentic competitive sports opportunities for people with intellectual differences. And it's different divisions, right? We have our athletes that can run 4-minute miles, and we have athletes that are in walking heats. So we do division, but it is authentic and it does go by the rules. Also that it's just really run on volunteers. And our coaches volunteer with them, and that's kind of how we work across the state.
And you mentioned you have quite a few volunteers.
We do.
Yes, thousands of
Yes,
volunteers?
well, we have 7 offices across the state.
Yeah.
We're a statewide organization. We work with 42,000 athletes.
Yeah.
And working with them, so we definitely have staff, but really it's the volunteers that are their coaches. That my son is a power lifter. Never ever thought, I know you said you didn't think your son was into sports. I still might think my son might not be into sports, but what he is into is that social, that community and those opportunities and that confidence that it brings. And so he goes to powerlifting 3 times a week, and they're volunteers. They're former powerlifters that, want to work with people and still be in that sport. And so that's who their coaches are.
And I have attended some of your opening ceremonies in the past, and it's also supported by the community because the attendance is tremendous. There's so many people that are attending these events that want to see these competitions take place. And as it says, in some of the material I was reading, the opportunities that are provided here, you really can't find anywhere else.
Yeah, I don't really see that there's anything like us. And I said in the beginning, there's 3 things I want everyone to know about Special Olympics. And the third is about our games, and I get asked all the time, when are the Special Olympics? And they're thinking of those big games, and we certainly have them. We just had our fall games in Glens Falls. We have our winter games in February in Syracuse, and we have our summer games in Ithaca. But that's really a fraction of our athletes that go to that. It's those that win the gold and the best of the best, and we love them. But the Special Olympics is really in that everyday, those regional competitions that we have, those local competitions, the bowling competitions, just the small things that we have. That's what means a lot to the athletes.
Now the bowling, my son does like bowling.
Well, then he should join the Schenectady. We have a team in Schenectady.
Now, one of the program itself, let's talk about the components of it. There's the sports training, the competition, leadership development, even health screenings, and there's 8 sort of areas that people can get involved with, critical disciplines. Let's talk a little bit about the program itself.
Well, there is and you probably know from your son, but also probably from those in your community, there is an incredible health disparity for people with disabilities. And a lot of it really just goes down to communication. Well, a lot of it also is there's no training for doctors in med school on how to treat somebody with an intellectual difference. So both of our sons don't communicate the way you and I communicate. So if you or something is wrong with you, we don't get the same things. We don't get them coming in and saying it hurts on the left side, this way. We get behaviors or we get different things and we have to figure it out. And so do the doctors. So what we do at Special Olympics is we're finding with that disparity, you can't compete if you're not healthy. So we're really training people to work with people with ID, and then we'll screen at our big games. So they'll have eyes, ears, feet. A lot of times our athletes are just simply in the wrong size shoe. They don't complain as much as we might do. Their eyeglass, they might need eyeglasses. We can do that on the spot for them. And that's really also from volunteers in the community too.
That's absolutely wonderful, and it really moves us in a direction of creating a more inclusive, welcoming society. And Special Olympics really makes a statement to that.
Yeah, I think until we have that systemic change that we need in our society to make sure there's equity in healthcare for people with ID, I just see it like Special Olympics is doing it ourselves and just working while we work towards that change.
Now, everything we talked about, obviously, these are cost-free services, and you rely on sponsors, and I've seen funding come through in the budget.
Yeah.
And certainly, I have supported that, and will continue to support that. But let's talk about sponsorship and how many people how many organizations it takes to make this work.
Yeah, it's we don't charge anything to the athletes. For anything. So when we have our games or our hotel rooms or all the equipment, all the facility charges, everything is free. And that's been the mission of Special Olympics for 50 years since Eunice Kennedy Shriver started it. And we have tremendous sponsors and support. You might have heard of our polar plunges, which are going on all across the state right now.
Yes.
Crazy people. In Lake George just 2 weeks ago, 900 lovely, crazy people in this community helped us raise over $200,000. So it's pretty significant dollars. So we do a lot of those fundraisers to support it. We do get some government support. What we're finding is I never want it to be about the money. I always want it to be about the opportunity.
Exactly.
Want the athletes to have as much opportunity as they can, especially after COVID when so much was taken away from them during that time. But this year it is about the money. We are fundraising more than ever. We raised $1 million more than we did last year, $3 million more than we raised a few years ago. But we cannot out fundraise these costs. Where inflation is hitting is it's just hitting us very hard in the transportation and the hotels. So we're asking for a little more support from government this year.
And this program serves, as you said, 42,000 athletes statewide. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And that number is growing.
Well, we want it to grow. That's in our strategic plan. We want to have more opportunities for all of our athletes. So if they're doing one season of sport, we want them to be able to do 2 seasons of sports. We want to recruit more. I think learning so much and seeing how it's changed my son's life, I know there's people out there that don't know Special Olympics like we know Special Olympics, like I know Special Olympics, and I want them to have that opportunity. So we certainly do want to grow our participation, and I've been thinking a lot about how it's affected my family. And you and I are both caregivers and will be for a long time, hopefully. Yeah. So I think that with 42,000 athletes, I think of those families. And when the athletes are with us at the games, they're not relying on mom and dad or caregiver, even paid staff. We take care of them with our volunteers that are, screened and trained and all of that. But I notice that there isn't sometimes a lot of parents at some of our overnight things, and I'm hoping that they're out to dinner. I'm hoping that they're getting some time off. So it's those opportunities I think that we offer to families.
And I think beyond the sports, the sports is important. I think sports really is underrated when we think about educational opportunities. Also the friendships, the bonds that are formed. Any sports team, my daughter's on a swim team, and I know that the bond that they form just being together. And the same thing happens here.
That's
I think
what it is.
Having those friendships, that's also an important aspect of this program.
Yeah, that's really, it's that confidence that you get from being on that team. It's being able, I always kind of say, answer the adults' question. What do you do besides work, or what do you do? And that they can say Special Olympics, and they have that common thing to talk about with neurotypical peers. They can talk about their sports and their competitions, and it just brings them so much pride and confidence, and they absolutely love it, every single one of them.
And setting those goals and accomplishing the goals. And It's wonderful, and you talked about volunteers. I know there's some viewers at home probably want to support Special Olympics, and there's a number of different ways to do that. I know you have a website where you can give out more information, specialolympicsny.org.
That's it. Yep.
I know you have well, it used to be Twitter. I don't know what it is.
We have Twitter,
X or whatever it's called.
X, whatever it's
yeah,
called.
I know because I tagged you.
Yes, I think it's always going to be called Twitter or whatever it's called now. Yeah.
So we want to direct people to that website to find ways to get
we're on
involved.
all the social media, Special Olympics New York, Facebook, Twitter. I think you can volunteer just by being a day of volunteer at one of our events. Or if you're an athlete, someone who loves sports and wants to give a little bit more time, we're always looking for coaches to start a team. We have webinars every month, kind of talking about what it means to be a coach. And I would say that volunteering with Special Olympics is probably one of the most rewarding volunteer activities. And once you do it, you never leave. You're with us forever.
I agree with that. I think it's something truly special. Any special events coming up that we can put out there, different things happening throughout the rest of this year, which is close, or maybe into the new year.
So we will kick off. Well, right now we're in winter sports season, so they're just starting winter sports right now and practicing. I know nobody really wants snow. We do want snow. We need it for our snowshoers and our skiers.
We got a little bit, not too much, but
so we need some snow. And so they're starting to practice. Our athletes practice 6 to 8 weeks of practice before their regional competitions, and then the statewide competition is in February.
Now, you mentioned snowshoeing. Now, my son did try snowshoeing last year, or the year before it might have been.
Yes.
I don't think we had too much snow last year.
No, we did not. That was a little bit of an issue. I call snowshoeing the sport of 2020. That was when we were all COVID. That was one of the first sports that we could kind of bring back.
I think
because
it was
outside, and it was a big boom for us. We bought a lot of snowshoes. So it's a lot of fun, and we're gonna get we'll find the right place.
His sport.
Yes. Well, that's the same thing. I think it's important to say that, because just because your son or somebody has an intellectual difference doesn't mean they're just going to join that team that's down the road. They might not want to do swimming. They might not be into running or powerlifting like my son is. So there's a little bit of a matchmaking time to see if the team is the right team for them and the sport's the right sport for them.
And the process of getting involved or enrolling an athlete, just for people watching, how does that process work? Where's the starting point?
The starting point's our website. So go to our website and say, find your region, and then you'll list all the different regions. So it's the Capital District, and then just start from there. Like I said, it's not instant, same-day registration, because we want to find the right thing for the athlete. And sometimes that means we might have to start a new club. Or find new coaches or recruit new coaches. But that's the starting point, and I would encourage anybody that's thinking about it to write, and let's start working on it.
And that website again, we'll just give it out one more time.
www.specialolympicsny.org.
So anybody watching wants to get involved, whether it's a sponsorship or supporting or being a volunteer, and I have coached
polar plunging, or
well, the polar plunge I might not do,
all sorts of different things.
I think I'll pass on that. I don't know if I can handle that. But there's a lot of ways to get involved, and I encourage you to reach out, check out the website, even if you want to enroll an athlete, get it started, and get that process going. I want to thank you for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me, and thank you for everything that you do for people with intellectual differences. You really are a champion, not just in this region, but across the state. So
Very
thank
kind.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it for today's show. Join us again here on Assembly Update, where we'll talk about more great programs like Special Olympics that's making our community wonderful and great.